In the summer of 2021, I went on an adventure. 10 days, 5 destinations, 4 people, countless memories. We spent a week and a half touring the national parks in Utah. This state was unlike anything we have ever seen. It almost felt like we were on another planet. So I grabbed my camera and captured as much as I could. And this is what happened in those 10 days. Hey guys, what's going on? So in June 2021, my buddy invited me to go on a road trip to Utah with his buddies. And I haven't traveled anywhere in the past year and a half, so I was just dying to get out of my house. So I couldn't resist. I said yes, wouldn't you? So our plan was to spend about a week and a half touring the national parks in Utah and then top it off with a weekend in Las Vegas. So a couple months later, the 4 of us packed our bags and mobbed it straight down to Utah, which was a very hefty 17-hour drive. We started driving at around 9 a.m. and then we drove through the night basically, and at around 3:30, 4 in the morning, we finally arrived in the Canyonlands and headed straight for the Mesa Arch.
Tonight we ran into the sun. We ran into the corners of the love we choose to make. Tonight we show where we belong.
So for the next couple days, we explored all the Canyonlands and the Arches National Park, which is right next to the Canyonlands. And let me tell you, we saw rock formations we didn't even know were possible. So then up next on our list was Bryce Canyon. Now I didn't know too much about Bryce Canyon, so I was going in with zero expectations. So we pitched up our tent at around 11 p.m. and then at around 4 a.m. we woke up and then headed straight for Bryce Canyon to catch probably one of the most beautiful sunrises I have ever seen. And I must say, this was probably one of my most favorite spots of the entire trip. So after about 3 days of exploring Utah and basically visiting 3 national parks, we decided to go to our final destination, our final national park, probably our most anticipated place, Zion National Park. So we stayed there for a few nights and rested while we could. Meanwhile, we explored the national park in all its majesty. We started the stay by venturing to the Emerald Pools. And I just remember looking around and being surrounded by mountains where the clouds cover the tops. That's when I realized that this place was unlike anything I've ever seen. When we finally made it to the last waterfall, that's when I looked up and fully realized the scale of this place. So we then rested up, even met a guy from Australia who joined us on our journeys, and prepared for what would be our biggest challenge of the trip the next morning. So Angel's Landing is one of the most famous hikes in Zion National Park. It's about 6 miles round trip, give or take, and it has about a 2,000 foot elevation gain. So it's a pretty hefty hike. But what makes the hike so famous is the final portion called the Chains. And it's basically this ridge line that only spans like a few meters wide and offers, well, a 1,000 foot drop on both sides and only a chain to hold on to so you don't fall to your death. Which is also one of the reasons why this hike is actually named one of the most dangerous hikes in America. So we woke up early and took the first shuttle that took us to Angel's Landing. So the first half of the hike was pretty manageable. I mean, we're from Washington, so we're used to climbing mountains and stuff. So it wasn't like, it was strenuous, but we weren't like dying by the time we got to the base of the Chains. But when we actually got to the beginning of the Chains section, we already saw that there were like crowds of people starting to form, just trying to get across the Chains. So, I mean, we bit the bullet. The crowds were only going to multiply, so we just went for it. As we were crossing it, we definitely had this feeling that we were in over our heads. The people around us were getting anxious and irritated due to the heights. This is when we started to feel the pressure. Just to get across the chains took us like an hour. But as soon as we made it to the top, we were greeted with one of the most spectacular views of basically the entire trip, and probably one of the best views I've ever seen in my life. It made me realize how short life really is, which definitely made me appreciate this trip so much more. Our time in Utah was nearly over, but we had one more trail to hit, and that was the Narrows. Right after the Narrows, we dried off and then hit the road straight for Las Vegas. So then we spent the next 3 days in Las Vegas, where we would actually do the sky jump off of the stratosphere. Yeah, I guess you could say our fear of heights was definitely tested this trip. Because at the end of the day, why would you jump out of a perfectly good building? On the drive back home from Las Vegas, I caught myself thinking about the last 10 days. I thought of how far we'd all come in just 1 week, the places we saw, the people we met. And what I learned from this trip is that you don't need to go someplace halfway across the globe like Iceland or Dubai or Spain. Sometimes the coolest places in the world are actually just right next to you. All you have to do is just go. And I am truly thankful for everything that this trip had to offer. And I'm super thankful for the guys that I went with. Shout out to Jonathan, Micah, and Austin for bringing me on this trip. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one.